Hello, everybody. Welcome to Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades. We're live this week. I'm Matt Connarton, and of course, the Honorable Gary S. Hopper with the... Oh, I like that. That's nice. A little rose on your jacket.
That was the most honorable Representative Phyllis Woods put that on my jacket. I don't
Really?
know how many years ago.
Oh, no kidding.
It was a pro-life... it's actually a sticker.
Oh, it is.
Which means I haven't probably cleaned this jacket for 20 years. But whatever. It works. All right. Hey, okay, so Matt, guess what?
What?
Guess what?
What?
We have the kids from Pack 118, the Tiger Cubs from 118 here with us this evening. Wait a second. What time do you guys get bedtime anyway?
8:30.
8:30? What do you got? Do you ever tell your mom, do you ever say, your mom says you got to go to bed at 8:30 and you say, there's a guy at school, he doesn't have to go to bed at 9. You ever tell that to your parents?
Yeah. My mom and dad let me stay up until 9:30.
She did? She does it all the time or just once in a while? Like, do you have to be good first and then she lets you stay up to 9:30?
No.
No? She just lets you stay up to 9:30?
Yeah.
What happens if you misbehave? Do you have to go to bed at 6?
No.
Do you have to go to bed before you went to sleep?
No.
Do you have to go to bed before you wake up?
No.
Oh.
I have to go to bed
Weird
at
sleeping
8:30
habits.
then.
What?
I have to go to bed at 8:30.
Do you guys know why the chicken crossed the road?
No. Yes.
Why?
Because he didn't want to get quacked over.
So he didn't want to get run over, so he went to the other side to get away from the side where he might get hit?
No, he wanted to get away from the quars. Get it?
Horse?
Like, he's. I think he's.
It's a joke.
I think he thinks.
I know.
He thinks you said duck.
Quackers.
Oh, the quacks.
Quackers.
Bad
Quackers.
bad
The
doctors?
quackers. Why did the duck cross the road to get to the quackers?
Oh, do you mean Quakers?
Maybe Quakers.
Maybe the
Quakers.
the duck needed some butter?
No, it's a religious thing.
Oh.
Probably.
Yeah.
We'll take a call.
All right.
Okay.
Hi, welcome to Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades. Who's on the line?
Hi, I'm calling from Canada to speak to
Oh,
Brady
Montreal
Dial.
back!
Canada. Wow.
Yeah! Who'd you want to talk to?
International call.
At first.
It is.
Who would you like to talk to?
Braden Dion. He's my grandson.
Oh.
Okay then. Go ahead. What would you like to ask him?
Well, I'd like to ask him what his conversation is about tonight and what's he doing on TV.
Well, what are you doing? Tell your grandma, what are you doing on TV?
I don't know.
He's being handsome so far. That's it.
I can hear him. I can see him.
Right.
Oh, you gotta turn down your computer because we're on a delay.
Okay.
Yeah, if you turn down the sound on the computer because of the delay, it'll screw you up. So now you can hear us?
Yes.
Okay. So anyway, talk to your gram. What do you got to tell her? Do you miss her, or is she gonna make you?
He calls us Mammy and Pappy.
Is Mammy make you wicked cool chocolate cream pies or like apple pies?
No.
Do you guys make apple pie in Canada, or is that only United States?
I guess.
Ask him about the chocolate chip cookies.
That's got to be international.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Chocolate chip cookies are perfect.
Yeah, I love chocolate chip cookies.
Right. So did your grandma make you chocolate chip cookies before?
Yeah.
Are they awesome? Are they super awesome? Or are they wicked awesome? What? No way!
Oh. Dude, you're gonna be in so much trouble.
Yes.
I know. What the heck? I love them.
I love chocolate chip cookies. You don't like chocolate chip cookies with milk?
Nope.
Nope.
I love them. You get to dip them in milk?
So what do you like? Do you go visit up in Canada a lot?
No.
No. Do you like going up there? I probably shouldn't ask this.
Yeah.
This isn't going on a good.
I know, right? He's not afraid to upset the family.
I guess not. Well, at least your grandson's honest. You got to give him that.
He's
Right?
shy.
Yeah, it's tough love. Tough love.
Yeah.
So your grandma wants to know what you're doing in Scouts.
I don't know.
You don't know? Well, you're coming on TV tonight. That was because of Scouts, right?
Yeah.
See? That's another one. Do you guys, any of you other guys know what you guys do in Scouts besides come on TV
No.
and take international calls?
Nope.
No.
You'll figure it out someday, right?
You don't have like a Pinewood Derby coming up or something like that, maybe?
No,
No.
Wow.
No.
we never.
He has little rabbits here and a horse.
You got a horse?
Oh my god! I don't got a horse.
Ask her what the horse's name is.
He says he doesn't have a horse.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
ask her what her name is.
What's your
I
horse?
don't know.
He doesn't know.
I think he's just shy. He doesn't want to talk.
I think so too. Hey, thanks for the call, Grandma.
Okay.
Hey, if he
Tell
doesn't
him
want
I love him.
if he doesn't want the chocolate chip cookies, you can send them to us in care of
Or
Channel
you can
22
send them to me.
or him.
Or him.
Or him.
Yeah, he'll share, right?
I'll have
He'll share.
chocolate. I just no nuts though. I'm
No
allergic
nuts.
to nuts. Thank you
Oh,
very
tell
much.
him we love him and we're watching him.
All right, thank you for the
Alright.
call.
I don't like nuts.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Bye bye.
At all.
Bye-bye.
Except mustaches. Okay,
What?
we don't need to get.
Okay, so anyway, I haven't even introduced you. Braden is the one who was just got a call, the international call from up in Canada. And then there's James. James is over at the end. He is the, would you say you're the, what's your contribution? Are you the one that's the funniest or the?
Yeah, he's the funniest.
He's the funniest? I thought, okay, so give me another joke then.
Why did the
You're making this up.
cow
You're
cry?
making this up, aren't you?
No.
No.
Why did the cow cross the
Improv.
street?
Well, I don't know.
To read some cow papers.
Oh, the old cow paper joke.
Man,
That's unbelievable. Okay, wait. You're boys. You got to know how to make sounds, right?
Yeah.
What cool sounds can you make? You can make any cool sounds?
No.
Okay, well, watch this. This is really good. Watch. You do that? No.
What is that? Is that like a bird?
It's a
I
morning
can make
dove,
this.
Oh,
right?
I don't live in the woods.
It's a morning dove.
Oh.
Can you whistle?
Yes, I can whistle.
Go ahead, whistle. Can you go? You guys okay, wait. What about other noises? Any other noise? Because you got to have noise if you're out in the woods.
Wah, wah, wah.
That's a good one.
Well, that's especially for this show.
Can you make like duck noises?
Oh, wow.
Can you do that?
Okay. That was kind of weird.
Huh?
That was kind of weird. Sounded
So-
like Donald. Ew.
So you guys aren't doing anything in Scouts. So far what we know that you do is you go on TV and you dress up in Scout uniforms.
No.
No?
No.
What else? There's got to be something else. You get together every week.
We get weird.
You act weird. Yes. Well, you're boys, so that's kind of
It's part of the gig.
part of the thing.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, gentlemen, I think that's it for tonight.
Okay.
You had a tour of the studio. You got to be on TV.
Testing.
You're not supposed to tap the microphone. And do you have anything you want to say before you leave?
I don't know.
Kyle? Kyle, do you have something you want to say?
Thank you.
That's a good one.
That is he's very polite.
He is very,
Very
polite.
polite,
Kyle,
yes.
you get a big high five for being polite.
Why did the cow eat the newspaper?
Why?
Why?
Because you want a newspaper snack.
Well, that's why.
That's true.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Newspaper and snack mixed together is
Right.
Oh.
I get it. I'm with you on that one. Hey, guys, thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Time to vamoose. Hasta la vista. Hit the trail. The dusty
Yay.
trail.
Okay.
On the road again.
Thank you. Yay.
Bye, guys.
Roadie road ho.
Can't wait to be on the road again. Go out that way.
All right.
Hit 5. That's not a high 5. That was a high 1. Attaboy. We'll see ya.
That's a
All
high
right.
two.
Okay. That's
That's a
better.
high two.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Jeez.
Gary's very delicate.
Yeah. Thank you very much, folks.
Thanks, yes. Well,
Well,
This one was very quiet,
yes, he's a very quiet child.
but very polite. He said, "Thank
yes,
you."
I love the chocolate chip thing.
And we got an international call.
Yes.
I don't know why the Malaysians
I
never
don't.
call us.
I
We're
know.
big in
I don't
Malaysia,
know
but-
why we just don't quit now.
I know, right?
That's going to be it for the day.
Well, we got another. I'm not good at math.
Let's just sit here and
got-
count the numbers.
We got some.
Okay, so anyway,
I'm not good at math.
State House tonight.
Yes. Oh yes, you were in session today.
I was in session today.
This is the pink paper.
The pink paper. I'm running on about 4 hours sleep, and I'm.
Are ya?
Oh yeah, wicked bad.
Why is that?
Oh, just stuff keeps happening.
Yeah.
Nothing bad, just stuff keeps happening.
Right.
Let's see. What was it? The most interesting one, the big one of the big event today, or the big bill today that we thought we were going to spend all day on, was background checks.
Oh yes, yes, yes.
House Bill 1580 something.
I saw John Burt had posted something about it.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people posted stuff about it, but I did see his post about it on Facebook. His triumphant post.
His triumphant post. You see my triumphant post?
I didn't see that one yet.
Oh, I posted on Facebook that we had successfully killed the background check bill, or the anti-gun bill, and so that deserved a 3 Shirley Temple lunch.
Oh, I didn't see. Someone else had seen it though, because that came up on Norman Friends. Someone had mentioned your post. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Phil had seen it and mentioned it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the joke there, because it seems,
Right.
she was a pretty cool lady.
Yeah,
She's, I think, one of the only child stars that you ever hear about that actually did well.
Right. Yeah.
She didn't seem to turn to drugs or anything else. She ended up being an ambassador, and she kind of quit young and then kind of raised a family, then became an ambassador, and she
Yeah.
did
She quit really young, actually.
21.
Yeah. Was she
Yeah.
85 when she passed away?
Something like that,
Yeah.
But so anyway, so that the Shirley Temple joke was kind of
Yeah.
twofer,
Right.
I don't. Why am I looking at that? I don't know why I'm looking at. Anyway, so to fill people in, the background check bill, and this is basically a Reader's Digest version. But right now in New Hampshire, if I want to go buy a firearm at a gun show, the people that are selling guns at the gun show are licensed firearm dealers. Mm-hmm. If I go, even if I know the guy, if I go and say I'd like that 45 or I want that rifle, I still have to go through either a state background check or a federal background check.
Sure.
The state background check is the same thing as a federal background check, except you go through the state first.
Okay.
And
The gun show loophole, that's a myth, right? That's
pretty
not,
much
not
a myth.
real.
I'm
Okay.
not. See, I always say it's a myth because in New Hampshire, I've never seen it happen.
Okay.
I don't know of anybody at the gun show. I mean, I'm not an observant guy, so if I miss something, I don't want to say this as an absolute because I don't know.
Sure.
But to the best of my knowledge, everybody that sells a gun at the gun shows are all licensed dealers, and you can't just go buy something without going through the background check.
Yeah.
I've never been able to do it, and I also haven't tried.
Sure.
The gun show loophole they're talking about is that under federal law, the BATF regulates federal firearms dealers. Okay, so if you're a federal firearm dealer and somebody buys a gun from you, they have to go through these checks. Okay, but it doesn't apply to I checked with this years ago when some other bill went through. I called the BATF because I was curious about it, and I asked them about in New Hampshire. If I wanted to sell you a handgun, I could. Mm-hmm. Without going through the dealership, without going through any, because I'd known you for a couple of years.
Okay. So you can do a private sale without all that if you know the person.
If you know the person, a handgun.
Okay.
And it was actually kind of funny when I was. It's really weird the way the problem with legislation and the RSAs. I don't like to call them laws because you get into an argument with John Heichel. And but the RSA isn't regulating this all in the fish and game laws.
Yeah.
For what reason, nobody really remembers. But
Okay.
I read it one time, and I was talking to one of my legislative friends in one of the rooms we have. We're talking. I said, he was talking about selling a gun or something. I said, well, you know, it's already illegal to buy a handgun at a yard sale. Mm-hmm. Like if you're driving around and you see somebody selling a handgun at a yard sale, that's illegal.
Okay.
Okay, unless somebody shows up at the yard sale that already knows them.
Okay.
In other words, if my neighbor Ron down the street comes over and he's at the yard sale and I have a handgun out there, I could keep it out there with the intent of selling it to somebody who happens to stop by that I do know.
Okay, just can't be.
But
a
if
stranger.
if somebody that walks over that I've never met before wants to buy that handgun, it's already illegal under state law or state statute. It's against it's against that to sell it to them.
Okay.
Okay. Long arms, I'm not sure. That gets fuzzy.
Yeah.
But basically, because I'm a private citizen and I'm selling it to another private citizen, the federal government has nothing to do with it.
Okay.
It's only if you're buying or selling, if you're buying from a federal licensed dealer, thus their license. And that's where their regulations step in.
Okay.
Okay. So the law that they wanted to pass, and to be honest, I didn't read the whole thing. I kind of glanced over it. But fundamentally what it would have done was made it illegal to do that. It would have meant that if I wanted to sell you a gun, I had to go to, say, someplace like Riley's and say, I'm going to sell Matt a gun. And it would go through that background check.
Okay.
There's a bunch of issues with that. First of all, as far as I'm concerned, if you're going to pass legislation in New Hampshire, you really should show some sort of evidence that it's necessary.
Right. Yeah.
In other words, are there many people being shot by guns that were purchased through from other people, what would be considered legally, but you were used in crimes?
Yeah. You don't want to pass laws just because you need a solution in search of a problem.
And that's fundamentally it. I mean, right now, I think New Hampshire is either the most safe state in the country, or like second or third, or something. It's like right at the top.
Last I knew, I mean, it changes year to year with these, but last I knew, we were the safest, the safest and the most heavily armed.
Right.
Which seems to bolster the idea that an armed society is a polite society, because
Yep.
we're pretty safe here.
We're very safe.
And very heavily armed.
And if you don't like it, we'll kill you.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. Yeah. That's how we keep it safe.
That's how
but,
we keep
but
it
we'll kill
safe.
you politely.
Keep it safe, keep it secret.
Yes.
Or keep it secret, keep it safe.
Well, both really, if you're
Right.
if you're going to do that.
Somebody at the legislature asked me if I carry a concealed weapon when I'm on the legislature.
Yeah. What's the current rule? You can't, can you, when you're in session? Or
Whether
can
I
you?
do or don't, I wasn't about to answer.
No, but I mean, what's the rule? Because it's changed back and forth, right? As far as whether you can bring a gun. into
Okay,
the...
I'll go get to that in a minute. I want to finish this. So anyway, because we got time, so I'm going to beat this to death first.
Sure.
Until it's dead and gone.
Pistol whip it to death.
Pistol whip it. So anyway, the problem with the law is you're changing the law that affects everybody for what purpose nobody really could prove, that there was really no real need for the law. Secondarily, if you're going to pass a law that takes away liberty, you really should have a good reason, because it is a fundamental liberty to be able to sell Matt a handgun if I want to.
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody said, one of the legislators asked me sincerely, well, why wouldn't you, for your own peace of mind, just sell it to the gun shop? Well, it might help my peace of mind in some regards. Not really, because if I sell it to Matt, I know I'm selling to somebody who's a stable guy who's not going to go out doing armed robberies or whatever. So that really wouldn't help my peace of mind, because I'm going to be conscious of who I'm selling it to.
Right. True. Yeah.
But the other thing, too, is if I go to sell it to Riley's, well, they've got to make a profit selling it again. So if they sell it at market value, then that means they have to buy it from me for much less than market value, because otherwise, what would be the point?
Right.
So yes, selling, if you have extra guns, to selling it to someplace like Riley's or wherever might give you peace of mind, but you're going to lose, $100 or $200 doing it.
Right. Yeah.
So if you got that money to throw around, I guess that's a good way to do it.
Lose a piece of your bank account.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
in one regard, why should I, as a citizen, be? I'm deprived of my liberty just to sell something to Matt, or to alternatively, I could sell it to the gun store and lose money. But either way, I'm being deprived of liberty. And they didn't prove that there was any necessity to it.
Right.
It is fundamentally a list of guns that I remember last year when they had the governors against drunk shooting. Now, what was Bloomberg's?
It wasn't.
You know what I mean?
I can't remember. I can't remember the name of the organization, but I do know what you mean. Yeah. Oh, it was mayors.
Mayors against drunk shooting, right?
Is some kind of shooting, yeah.
Right. So anyway, this is one of those types of bills that's on their list of things we need to do to make life safer.
Yeah.
And it's really funny because when quite a few years ago, when I was earlier in my legislative career, there was an article came out, and New Hampshire was designated as one of the least safe states in the country.
Really?
Yeah. Because the people that did the study of the least safe states based it on if they had strict gun controls to
that was their standard.
So it's like the Brady bunch, or what Brady? What is the Brady Bills? What's the group that she founded? Sarah Brady.
I can't remember.
I don't know why Sarah Brady has anything to do with the Brady Bunch, but I don't know why the Brady Bunch is involved in firearm legislation anyway.
That's the way they became the Brady Bunch.
Oh. Really? Okay. So anyway, so groups like that came out with this thing about, well, New Hampshire's not safe because we don't have all these laws.
Right.
It had absolutely nothing to do with the fact we had low crime rates,
right,
low murder rates, low this, low this.
Right.
They didn't care about that because that's not what their agenda was.
Yeah.
And so I think it's the mayors against drunk shooting. Part of their agenda is to pass more and more laws around the country to make us quote unquote safer, so we can be like as safe as say people in Chicago. And I think that's part of that agenda. I'm not positive. I don't know the legislator in particular who introduced it. Yeah. So I'm not. I don't know the person, so I don't know. But that's kind of like what it was, because it was like you say, it was a legislation in search of solving something that didn't need to be solved. Yeah. So that went down. It was actually very close at the beginning. I wasn't sure it was going to go down in flames, but it ended up. We did strategically. We went after. You have different kinds of votes. You can either vote by voice vote, which I can't say 5 times fast, or now I'm going to division vote. It's called the division vote, where you press the button so they have an accurate number of who voted for what, but it doesn't go on record. And then there's the roll call vote, which is you also press the button, but it goes into the permanent record. Okay. On most of these votes on 1589, we did division votes. So we get an accurate number, but nobody was going on record. So the Democrats wouldn't have to answer to somebody else. Huh. Because the Democratic caucus, as much as Republicans have a very strong Second Amendment persona, there are a lot of good, strong Second Amendment Democrats in New Hampshire.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. That doesn't surprise me.
It's not as, it's not like Washington, D.C. Right. And so anyway, it was really close. It was like the votes were like 177 to 178 or something like that. I forget which. But finally, we first amended it to be a study committee. Then we killed the study committee, and it was dead. Yeah. It was very cool.
I'm surprised it was that close.
Yeah, it was very close.
Hey, I have I don't know if you know the answer to this. I just have a technical question about the selling a gun, like having to know someone if you do a private sale. Is the law specific? Probably not, but how well you have to know them?
That's actually kind of and I think I've said this before on the show, that part of the problem with today's society is we have become a society where morality has been trumped by legality. Mm-hmm. And that law was probably written 50 years ago, where any reasonable person would understand what known to you means.
Yeah.
In other words, if you just met them this morning, you really don't know them.
Right. Well, we have all this ambiguity now, like with Facebook, for example. I mean, I have Facebook friends that I've never even met. You know, so
but that wouldn't be somebody who's, I don't think...
that wouldn't qualify as...
I don't think it would.
Yeah.
Okay, but could if somebody was being prosecuted for selling a firearm to somebody who wasn't known to them, and they say, yes, they were, I met them on Facebook 2 years ago, how would that look in court today? I don't know. I think common sense tells you known to them means that you have a reasonable expectation that they're not going to commit a crime with them.
Right.
That's not something you can find out from Facebook.
Right.
Because what people post on Facebook is not an absolute or even reasonable reflection of who they really are.
Sure.
I mean, you have people on Facebook who pretend to be 12-year-old girls and they're 45-year-old guys. So
right.
Anybody who presumes that because somebody's on Facebook and they've talked to them 25 times that they know them without meeting face to face is kind of...
That's a good point.
Naive at best.
Yeah.
So I presume, and I don't know if there's a legal definition for known to, but I think a reasonable person could... the argument would be that you know them well enough to know they're not going to turn around or likely to turn around and do a robbery or do... shoot their friend or shoot themselves for that matter.
Right.
I think that's what it means, and that's the way I take it.
Yeah.
But anyway, years ago I was talking about that about known to you about selling a handgun in New Hampshire, and I was with a legislator that'd been up there longer than me, and and this guy said, well, I could just sell it at a flea market. I said, no, you can't. You can't do that. And he says, what do you mean I can't? I said, it's illegal. And then I had to show him where it was in the RSAs.
Yeah.
And he looks at me and goes, uh-oh.
Oops.
But anyway, so that's so if you look at all the anti-gun groups, they will tell you that their biggest fear is handguns.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So as far as handguns are concerned in New Hampshire, there is no gun show loophole.
Okay.
Because that person has to be known to you to sell them.
Okay.
The other thing the law would have done is make it fundamentally, if I wanted to pass my guns down to my son or my daughter or my grandkids, I would have to go through and pay a $10 or $20 fee at the gun shop to pass one each down to them.
Yeah.
Okay, so, what are you talking, $20,000? That'd be awesome if it was $20,000. But anyway, you know what I mean?
Right.
If it's 10 guns, it's $100.
Sure.
And that's my stuff.
Right.
Why are you telling me what I can do with my stuff? That's
exactly.
that's insane.
I agree.
So it's fun. The bill took away liberty, and there was really no evidence that A, it was necessary, or B, it would affect change.
Yeah.
For the better.
Yeah,
so
no upside to it.
There was really no upside to it except making some liberals feel better about doing something against gun violence, I guess, if they believe that.
Yeah, it's all feel-good stuff. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But anyway, so then that was one bill. That was the big one that was supposed to take, I thought it was going to take about 3 or something hours, and it was actually only a couple hours. What was the other one? Oh, this is a some bills are introduced just for political purposes.
I find that hard to believe, Gary.
I know. So anyway, one of my Republican friends introduced legislation, and I shouldn't say this because I don't know that they did, but that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
House Bill 1255, and what it did was making a student whose name appears on the voter checklist as being a resident. In other words, if you voted in New Hampshire, you have to be a resident, and so therefore you should get in-state tuition at UNH.
Oh. Okay.
Does that make sense? If you're saying you're a resident of the state of New Hampshire,
right,
and you're a resident sufficient enough, or you're vested enough to vote in the state, then therefore you should have in-state tuition discount.
I think I see So this was done to make a point.
It was.
Yeah.
They tried to do it to make a point.
Right.
And if
It's interesting.
it's very fun. And so basically the point is at UNH and some of the colleges around the state, there's a concerted effort to because it's like Winston Churchill said, if you're young and liberal, you have a heart. If you're old and liberal, you don't have a brain.
He said that?
Yeah, something to that effect. The Winston Churchill quote.
Yeah.
And it was something like that. Anyway, so everybody knows that people who are in college are fundamentally far more liberal than people who have actually been out in the working force for any number of years or have started to invest in the community and buy a house and have kids in the school and such.
Probably.
And the reason for that is that the theory, the communist type theories of everybody, pooling their resources and everybody should make the same amount of money and all that garbage kind of goes by the wayside once you start making money.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
But everybody getting the same amount of money sounds really legitimate when you're, still living on college campus.
Right.
And so anyway, we all know, as a matter of fact, that predominantly on college campus you're going to find liberal kids. So there's a concerted effort to get those kids that are on college campuses out to vote because they're going to tend to vote Democratic. And so some of the kids that register to vote in New Hampshire do it, but they're not really residents in New Hampshire. What they really should be doing is voting. If they're from Massachusetts, they should get an absentee ballot and vote in Massachusetts. But in the case of presidential politics, if like a lot of our kids, I think from like UNH are from Massachusetts, the practical, if you're going to do this practically and not ethically, if you're from Massachusetts and you vote for Obama, it makes no difference whatsoever.
Right.
Because Obama's already going to win Massachusetts. There's no chance, a snowball's chance in Georgia that, oh, wait a second, it's not a good example anymore.
Not anymore.
No. There's no chance at all that your vote is going to make any difference at all.
Right.
So if you can get those kids that are actually live in Massachusetts or from Massachusetts to vote in New Hampshire, well, in New Hampshire it can make a difference. Because some of those, the presidential votes are pretty close, or for Senate, like Shaheen, if she wants to get back in, those votes can get very, very close, whereas in Massachusetts they're never even in the ballpark. So there's a concerted effort to get those kids to vote in New Hampshire. And so to try to deter that, if this bill had been able to go through, the university system would have cracked down on people voting from out of state because they would lose so much money.
Right.
And that was the point of the bill, but it didn't pass because it's a democratically controlled House right now. It would have been very funny, though.
I have mixed feelings about all that. I kind of see
it's manipulative and everything else. So.
I see both sides of that, so it's hard for me to really have a strong opinion one way or the other.
I had a funny opinion one way or the other on that one. And let's see, we were talking about one of the bills we were talking about. We spent actually more time on that than I think the gun bill. Was a legislator had a bill in that would require students be educated as to the signs of suicide and suicide prevention.
Really?
Yeah. The arguments, now that's logical in some ways, but first of all, there's a constitutional problem with it. If you tell the towns and cities that they have to educate their children as to suicide prevention and things like that to the kids, we included a provision in our Constitution a while ago that said that you cannot tell the towns to do anything unless you're willing to pay for it.
Okay, right.
Okay, and it's a really cool part of our Constitution that we added so that government didn't just keep coming up with more ideas of ways to spend the town's money without them having any say in it. Yeah,
and you want to protect the autonomy of the towns.
Right, and the towns are the ones paying for it, but the state still has the authority to tell them what to do.
Sure.
You know, they are subjects of the state. So that's one of the technical problems with it. The other problem people pointed out was that you are already training the nurses, the social counselors, and the teachers of what signs to start looking for.
Right.
And they're supposed to be as best they can. Obviously, they can't be perfect.
Sure.
On top of the ball.
Right.
And spending time in class teaching kids about suicide, I don't know how much you gain from that. I don't know.
Is this feels like it's because bullying continues to be a big issue nationally. There's a lot of focus on bullying. Is this feels to me like it's kind of piggybacked on the bullying
I think so.
thing.
I don't know, and I don't know technically enough about if anybody else has done this and what effect it, or did it have an effect.
Yeah.
And as you know, my standard response to this, and part of the problem when you get older is you look at subjects and you have a standard response because you've responded to it every other time.
Sure.
And it's not necessarily a good thing, but it doesn't make you wrong.
Yeah.
My standard response to this is, if you really want to do something about suicide, start encouraging marriages to stay together. Because the kids that are committing suicide, the kids that are ending up in jail, are the same kids that are coming from broken homes and single-parent homes. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
If you want to invest, if you want to do the greatest investment in your children's future, stay together. Period. There isn't anything. There's no money you could spend that compensates for that. But anyway, so, and I wasn't in the room for this, so I probably shouldn't say it on the air. But I double checked with like 3 or 4 people. I was in the other room, and Representative Lambert, who wanted to run for governor, I think he stuck his foot. I don't know if this is going to end up be one of these national news stories.
Oh, really?
To the best of my understanding, like I said, I wasn't there, but I did double and triple check to make sure, and I didn't get to see him, so I couldn't ask him specifically before I came on the air. But from my understanding, his argument was, what does it matter? It's their choice.
The choice of the person who's depressed and...
Yes.
Well, that's taking, he is all about liberty, and that's taking it to the extreme.
I know.
Wow.
And it was like, oh, man.
I got to Facebook him later and get him on my radio show tomorrow night if he said that.
If he said that, that is absolutely a good reason to get him on.
Wow.
That is just such a...
Politically suicidal of him to say that.
It's ignorant.
Yeah.
It is. They're children.
Wow.
They're not adults making decisions.
Wow. Yeah.
How can you, on one hand, say that a 14-year-old girl shouldn't be able to decide to get an abortion without parental knowledge and consent, but sit there and say, well, if they want to commit suicide, whatever.
Yeah.
It's just not consistent with what he's already stood for.
And he wasn't saying it's the school's choice whether they want to teach it. He was saying,
like I said, I wasn't in the room.
Okay.
I was out back
but
advocating for.
But you have multiple sources.
I have multiple sources, and I wouldn't say it if I wasn't very positive it was true.
Yeah.
And it was just like, wow.
That's hardcore.
That's hardcore. That's horrible.
Yeah.
That's absolutely horrible. They're children. And I think that's a tragedy of suicide, is they're just kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and they're making a decision that's obviously, even if they're unsuccessful, it's still permanent. You know?
Yeah.
And it's selfish.
Yeah. It's a lot of things.
It is a lot of things, and good is not one of them.
Jeez. What was the outcome with the bill?
Oh, it failed, I think.
Okay.
I think it failed pretty heavily because it really wasn't something the state should be dictating to the towns.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And it's not like people aren't aware of it, and it's not like people aren't doing something about it. It's not a. It's another. I think it's kind of another problem in search of a solution.
Right.
Solution
solution in search of a problem.
Right.
Yeah.
So what else did we do? You remember?
I don't know, but you had a big day there.
Oh, it was a wicked long day.
Tackled all kinds of stuff.
Oh, what did I do? Oh, yeah, I said that on Facebook. So yesterday I was in the Judiciary Committee, And I've been going through over at Elliott. The people at Elliott on the cancer, what do you call it? I forget what it's called.
Oncology? Is that?
Yeah, whatever it is. Anyway, that department, they're just absolutely delightful. But anyway,
Yeah.
I'm going through, it's not real cancer. There's nothing to worry about. It's just like a pre-skin cancer stuff
Yeah.
that they're using radiation to try to fry it off.
Yeah.
And so I have to go there every day in the morning. And what I've decided to do is stop wearing ties because it just hurts too much.
Yeah.
Because if you tie a tie around there, it's kind of scraping against your neck all day long.
Yeah.
And so I've been I have like 2 turtlenecks. And I wanted to get more so that I wasn't wearing the same 2 turtlenecks all the time. So I went to Kohl's. They didn't have any turtlenecks. I went to Target. They didn't have any turtlenecks. And I went to Walmart. They didn't have any turtlenecks. I was tired. It had been a long day. And I'm getting kind of upset.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm upset because I can't find a turtleneck. Okay, you got to put this in perspective. I'm upset because I can't find a turtleneck. And it's been a long day. And so I turn around. There's somebody in my way to go check this other section. It was a guy, probably in his 30s. He's in a wheelchair. Mm-hmm. He's obviously intellectually disabled. And I'm going, really? This turtleneck problem is that significant?
Right. Oh yeah. No, those are the moments where you
say,
go,
wow,
yeah.
what a freaking jerk I am. Oh,
Yep,
I felt
I've had those moments. I think we all have where you just go, "Wow, my problems really aren't any big deal."
No.
First world problems, they call them. You know.
Yes. The turtleneck issue was really severely destroyed my my day yesterday.
Yeah.
But that's so pathetic. But anyway, so I prayed for the guy and counted my blessings and tried to shut up because I was embarrassing myself.
Yeah.
Within, I didn't say anything out loud.
Right.
I never said anything. I'm not quite that brain dead. But that was yesterday.
Did you ever find turtlenecks, by the way?
I finally no, I didn't. I ended up having to go on eBay and I ordered a couple, but I don't know how. The problem is when you do that, you don't really know what they're going to be like until you get them.
Yeah. I wonder why they're so hard to find.
My wife said people don't use them anymore.
Yeah, I know. I can't. I feel like I'm being strangled if my neck is covered.
Well, you have to in the state. See, in the state house, people don't know. Not only do you get $100 a year, but you're supposed to wear a suit and tie.
Yeah.
Or a bow tie, but you're supposed to wear a suit and tie.
Yeah.
And one of the hardest things I had when I first got elected in 2000 was learning to tie a tie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I worked in a machine shop all my life.
Oh, yeah.
A tie is something you don't wear in a machine shop.
Right.
It's
yeah.
really kind of...
It'd be dangerous, probably.
Yes. Yes, if you're trying to commit suicide, wear a tie, get a job in a machine shop. That way it looks like you're just stupid when you die.
Right.
Instead of suicidal.
Well, George would say it was your choice to wear the tie to the machine shop. So, you know,
you're right.
That's liberty.
If you want to choose. Oh, gosh. Libertarians are so funny. Did I tell you my argument why I think libertarians are exactly the same thing as Democrats?
No.
This is my pitch. I think libertarians are exactly the same thing as Democrats.
Okay.
In this regard. Obviously, you have to preface that because it's...
Right.
Democrats, what their big thing is they have an inherent trust of government. That government is a solution or a something for change. What do you call it? A positive way to change and affect things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
They have trust in the premise of government itself. Okay. And the problem with that, and the reason we have 3 branches of government, is because the founding fathers knew they couldn't trust government.
Yeah.
That government given too much power would become tyrannical.
Yeah. So
And so they had 3 branches of government so that they would be fighting with each other.
Right.
And it's funny because on the news, everybody says, oh, the president can't get along with Congress, and Congress can't get along with the president, and they can't get along with the Supreme Court. Oh, no, oh, no. That's the way it's supposed to be.
It's designed that way.
It was designed that way. It's supposed to be that way. They're not supposed to get along.
Right.
The less they do, the freer you are. Okay. So, okay, I got to switch to decaf. Okay, so So Democrats, to me, inherent problem is their trust in government. Okay? Libertarians, if you follow what they believe, and I've talked to a lot of them, and I've watched Ian Rand's Atlas Shrugs, or not watched, the book.
Yeah.
And if you listen to the book and understand where they're coming from, they have an inherent trust in corporations and business.
Right.
Okay? They have the same inherent trust that the Democrats have in government. The libertarians have that in industry or corporations.
Capitalism.
Yep. Either way, you end up at the same tyrannical conclusion. It makes no difference. It's just a different master.
That's a really good insight.
Okay?
Yeah, that's a really good
That's
insight.
why I'm a Republican. I don't trust government, and I don't really trust big business or business.
Yeah.
And the only reason I say big business is because the bigger it is, the less it can be trusted, because the more power it has.
Oh, absolutely.
Everything has to be. The thing is, with government, we've built in this conflict, deliberate conflict between the branches. But with business, if it's not regulated by morality, then you end up with tyranny.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
It's just now the corporations run the government and run you, as opposed to the government running, the corporations and you.
I had a conversation with someone.
Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. No, I think that's a great insight. I had a conversation with someone at the Lauren Rumpler. She's Objectivist Girl is her organization on Facebook, and her and I talked once at an event, and she was talking about how she believes if you took out all the regulation, all government regulation, and just the libertarians' utopia, just kind of the Wild West of capitalism, it would be fine. It would be better because people are inherently good. And therefore,
that's the problem.
I know.
And people are inherently bad.
Well, my counter argument was I think people are basically good, but people are also basically flawed because we're imperfect, and that makes us vulnerable to things like greed and corruption and selfishness and gluttony, and that's why you do have to have some regulation.
I'll tell you why the inherently bad thing.
Okay.
First of all, if you look at our Constitution, it was based on, in a large part, to the Bible.
Yeah.
And in the Bible, the fundamental conclusion is that you are born into sin, you are sinful, and that's why you need Jesus Christ to save you. It's his sacrifice that is the compensation for all the sin what's within you and the things you do externally. Because everybody's sinful.
Right.
Okay? That's what the Bible says, and that's what the Constitution was founded on. But I think Abraham Lincoln said it best, and I wish I could remember the exact quote. I'll try to remember to get it for next week. But Abraham Lincoln said, in effect, that it's not difficult for a poor person to be moral. Try doing that when you're rich and you have power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, a good example is in the Bible is David. Okay, David, when he was a sheep herder and stuff like that, was very humble, very close to God, and was doing all the right things. Once he became king, now he's got all this money, all this power, and what did he do? He was, God loved David. What did he do? He looked over and he saw this girl bathing and goes, holy moly, I like that. And the next thing you know, because he could, a poor person could never be in that position,
right?
Because they would never have the authority to do it,
right?
Where with David, that desire of his lustful desire was obtainable,
right?
And that's why he did it, because he's human,
right? Yeah.
And he ended up killing his friend and a great soldier because of his inherent flaw.
Yeah.
And it's like, so Abraham Lincoln said that yes, it's not difficult for somebody of little means to be humble and to do the right thing, because there's really not that many opportunities.
Exactly.
But if you were rich, and that would include corporations. I'll tell you, I think I've said it before, how Aetna's trying to nail me every chance they get.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Why? Because they can.
Because they can.
Is it moral? No, it's got nothing to do with moral. Is it legal? It's on the.
They're trying.
They're pushing the envelope.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you very much. We'll see you guys next week.
All right, bye, everybody.